And so what do you choose to fill it with? Like your own sense of being like, I'm okay no matter what, because spirit begs the process and ego begs the outcome. And so the more you can just be okay with the process, the more you can see who your true self really is in there without the ego saying, well, you're not that if you don't get this.
The voice you just heard was Erin. She co-owns a holistic co-op in Spokane, Washington, with her dear friend Sam. It's January 15th, 2019, and welcome to episode 3 of Yogakane. It's time to get dirty and play in the mud, a shift in consciousness. I'm Lauren, your host. Yogakane is a podcast all about the awesome yoga community in the Pacific Northwest. Within this episode, you better get ready. Erin and Sam, the owners of the Lotus, invite us to look at this unearthing shift in consciousness that's occurring in society and within ourselves, so we can unbecome what no longer serves us and become who we are meant to be. Please enjoy. You two are friends, business partners. If you're comfortable sharing your journey on how you and why you started the Lotus.
So Erin and I have been friends for a while, and it felt like every single time we got together, we would like have these like outrageous ideas. And I like have never experienced like being with someone and having like so much creative energy, and it was like, I mean, it was
like limitless.
Yeah, it was like limitless,
really?
And we were like covered in goosebumps and like, I mean, it was just totally crazy. And so kind of, and we still have all of those ideas, and it's funny because a lot of them, you know, like they came up and then we'd be like, oh, maybe that's a little crazy. It's not going to happen. And then it's funny to like find ourselves sitting here and being like, oh my God, remember when we were talking about this? It wasn't that crazy at all.
Yeah.
And so all of those, I think all of those times that we were coming up with those things, they all kind of manifested in this business that we started together called Evo Mystic. And kind of, it started as this vision, which is still there, but it's not time for it yet, is to have spiritual healing classes online. And so we were really like coming up with these ideas and coming up with these courses and kind of planning it. And we just then kind of came to this point where we were like, you know, I don't think we're ready for online totally yet, and I don't think that other people are either. Like there's this like beautiful kind of thing that happens when people come together. And so that kind of then became, it was like, okay, maybe we kind of need a space for these things that we're doing.
Yeah. And we started to realize that anybody could sign on to, the Daily Om or find the content online that we had. Like the content it is outstanding, but the essence of it was doing the experience with like-minded people in a similar space. And that you can't find online. You can't Google connection and have that sense fulfilled. And so we thought, okay, the content is important here, but we need to bring it to a place where we can experience and be together and literally just hold a space.
Right. Create a container for people to experience whatever it is that they need to.
Right. It's like the beginning of a garden. And if you come in here, you'll see that our ceiling is covered in a soft brown fabric with magnets that look like little seeds. And that is really symbolic of what the Lotus is. It's a little garden for us to plant ourselves in. And even though we may be stuck in the mud, we are all blooming towards this beautiful flower. And the flower may be what most people see, but it takes a growth process. And so the Lotus would have nothing without the mud or the garden.
Yeah.
And that's what this space intends to be.
The mud and the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fertilizer.
Right. And you are the Lotus.
And the cultivation.
Yeah. Cultivation.
The gardeners, the people who have their gifts to come here and to share and to, I don't know, fertilize doesn't sound very good.
I don't know if that's the right word, but get nutrients.
We don't do any of that.
Well, fertilize that the
to
bud.
nurture.
Yeah, nurture the bud.
To nurture and tend.
To grow.
Yeah. And I mean, you can come here as a healer and do that, and you can come here as someone who's just trying to heal themselves, and this is kind of a vessel for that to take place. And I mean, we find ourselves, we like go to the classes, and it doesn't matter how gifted you are or
how far in your journey
how
you are.
far, yeah, like you can come and you still have places to grow and to heal. And that's what's so beautiful, is the collaboration of we're all here together. And we really have set a lot of intention so that when people come in here, they leave their ego outside.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings to like the whole idea of collaboration and the idea that, you know, we are here as a collective whole.
Here on Earth.
Here on Earth as a collective whole, and to use this space as that, and to collaborate with one another without the idea of competition.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guess we should probably tell you exactly what we do here. A lot of people are like, oh, I've heard of the Lotus.
Right.
And we've, I think that it's fulfilling a need, and people are responding and feeling welcome here and coming here. But for those of you who are listening that haven't been here, the Lotus is a holistic collective. We have healing therapy offices for rent, and then we have a community space. And so I think what's different about our center is that Sam and I are not invested in one healing trade. We're not, for example, yoga teachers or massage therapists who have a space that we share with others. It's truly others' space, and we are kind of the facilitators of
Just
the garden.
holding
Like
it, yeah.
who wants to come in, and what creative forces are they bringing with them?
Mm-hmm.
And so the space is available to rent for classes, for one-on-one sessions. We have people who rent the space for workshops or one-time events, but we have people that have weekly, monthly events. So really the intention of the Lotus is, if you have a dream and you're a creative and you have a creative gift to share, but you haven't quite found the space or the platform, we are here.
Mm-hmm.
This garden is here for you.
Yeah.
well, and we've really, like, both individually have taken, like, before we even, like, became friends, we've taken, I mean, for me, I've started a lot of things on my, like, this calling that I feel. I've gone out and, like, taken huge leaps and put myself in really vulnerable situations. And we know, especially with this new, like, spiritual healing force that is happening, so many different people are finding these different callings and these different gifts, and they're trying to find a way to bring them into the world. And we've really done that on our own, and we know how scary that is. And so we really want this to be a place where people can come and they can be uplifted.
Right.
And or
Yeah.
not even like we don't even necessarily like uplift. I mean, it's a place for them to come and for you to uplift yourself as a healer,
Right.
without high risks and without, I mean, we're all just kind of on our own. We're all on the same journey. We know what that's like, and so we want it to be like that sweet place for people to come into.
Yeah. It's almost like whoever comes here, they kind of get their own plot in the
Yeah,
garden.
right.
Yeah.
But that's what's so neat about a community garden,
Right.
is that you go in there and you might see the same zucchini, but the zucchini's grown differently.
Yeah.
You know, and or whatever it is. And so that's really neat that Spokane has a space like this, because what you're doing is you're just supporting this community and giving them like outlets to grow,
Exactly.
outlets to experience, like why am I feeling this, or why am I not feeling that, you know? Who knows? But it's really neat that you guys have this space, because
Thank you.
I don't really think there's a space like this in Spokane.
No,
Is there?
And there's wonderful and beautiful centers here, and with people leading them who are full of passion and dedicated to their crafts and their arts and their gifts.
Yeah.
But what's different is that's their space, and they're inviting people in, and they've been so generous. And so that's not missing. But what's missing is this blank space where where it's you bring what you have to offer
Right.
on
yeah.
your terms.
Yeah, and that's another big thing that we saw the need, because, you know, we kind of talked a little bit about our own need for the space, but also the need for the community space is that there are so many people that are channeling these different gifts that I feel like is really amped up right now with this shift in consciousness that is happening. And so it's really important, we feel like, for people to come in and to, without being limited by like the definition of
Or the
another space.
parameters.
Yeah, like there's no limit. You come in and you do things on your terms, in your way, without any type of attachment
To you
or
two.
pressure.
Yeah,
or,
to you two.
Or
yeah,
competition.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
competition. Like nothing. Yeah, that was just a really big need. Is that it's like if you're a yoga teacher, then, you know, I mean, there's not a lot of places where you can go and like do whatever you want to do as a yoga teacher, you know, like that type of
Yeah.
freedom. We wanted people to have that kind of freedom so that force of creativity and that force of calling could just like go through them unfiltered.
Yeah, and I think what Sam is saying really beautifully is that we are in this period of consciousness where shift is happening so fast. So for us to confine our gifts to how they've been presented or packaged in the past doesn't honor in a way that it needs to be, or it won't be as quick if people have to stick within these parameters. So the gifts that people are developing right now are the things that are going to be mainstream that we need, that we don't even know about. And so when it's wide open, so it's like we have yoga, but maybe it's more. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish what's happening already in the community, but just saying that, you know, we think we know what we go to, but the things that we are calling out for in our spirit, there are more dimensions and depths that can be created if we open the space. And so by saying, you bring your gift, even if you're not quite sure what to call it, or if you don't know what it exactly looks like, or you haven't planned out all your course, bring it and see what unveils, because that's what we need.
Right.
And like you had your intensely personal experience, it's quite a beautiful synchronicity that you are having your richly personal experience at the same time. There's this rich community experience going on, and that is a reflection of why we started Evo Mystic. That we're in this crossroads of evolution, where as we heal individually, we heal collectively. And when we do that with intention, the results are profound and they're expansive and they're immediate. And so when you bring your gifts, but we don't call it, you have to have this gift by this name to come in here, it opens up the possibilities to be endless. And our souls are ready for that. Our spirits are, I don't want to say ascending, but they are elevating to that, evolving. And it's happening deeply individually, at the same time profoundly connectedly. And so to have all those dimensions present while someone is in their gift is the effects are immeasurable, really.
Yeah. And what this place stands for is that people who kind of are living within, like internally, where they have these ideas, stuff that they want to explore, they don't have that space. This is that space that they can just kind of
absolutely, yeah,
test
nail
it, try it, like, you know, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You know, you're in a safe space, like you said, low risk.
Yeah, low risk. The risk thing is big because it takes that, and
pressure.
I mean, I know this from my own personal experience, that like it takes a leap to like get the ball running or rolling, I guess. And like every leap I've taken has been like so high risk, so intense, and I would really like love for people to be able to take a leap that isn't that.
That's more gratifying than terrifying.
Yeah,
Out of it is doing it together.
That is, and that's one thing that's one thing that's been so special for me in this, is that all those risks that I was taking, I was totally doing them alone, and I felt really isolated and alone, and that was like part of like the terrifying part of it. And that is like such a beautiful gift, because at the time I wasn't aligned with like people who were kind of on the same, not the same journey, because we're not on the same journey, but like the same path. And that's one thing that's been so beautiful working with Erin, is that she totally like got it, and she got the depth of like what I had been going through and like the suffering that I was like in the midst of. And I think that she had gone through a similar process on her own separately, and so we could totally relate in this place where, I mean, I think we're all still healing. I don't think it ever stops.
I'm on my third or fourth.
Yeah. But anyway, we would have never been able to connect with each other in the way that we connect to each other now had we been in so suffocating in the mud. But now that we're through it, that is like this beautiful thing. And so to create a space that offers that to everyone who walks in is so beautiful to like witness and to be a part of and to feel. And like that is, it's, you know, I feel like there are these times in our paths where we do have to be that individual phoenix where we crash and burn, but like the rising is totally with one another. It totally is. And
Yeah,
so
it
that
is.
is like, it's just been really super cool.
And it's, you know, and your ideas are your ideas, but once you get them out of your head, and thank you for that, Sam. You said it really succinctly and beautifully, and I feel the same way. And you know, I think it's easy when you're taking risks to be overrun by self-doubt or voices or negativity, and to hold on to those like they're truths. And when you're working with someone who is a reflection of your higher self, because you do together, you bring yourselves, you elevate each other. Those things don't seem so monumental, and they don't seem like they can run your life or throw you off course, because you look at someone and they go, that's, you know, I look at Sam and she'll say, oh yeah, that's fine. And I'll be like, oh my God, that was consuming me for like 4 or 5 hours.
I know, you're like, what?
Like, I'm like, it's over, it's done. And then she's like, oh, that wasn't a big deal. I'm like, oh God, okay, you're right, it wasn't a big deal. And it gives you permission to grow and let yourself off the hook, but also to reflect on the self-doubt and realize that it means you're on your path, and that you are doing huge things, but that's not the end, and the self-doubt is not the truth. And so when you bring your ideas to us and we work together to come up with what you are hoping to share, or maybe you know it and you have something dialed from A to Z, and you just want a place to do it.
So you'll work with healers who have ideas, and so the two of you will work with them and kind of support them with what they might offer if they are a little unclear on what that is.
Absolutely, we've done the whole spectrum. We've had veteran pros come in and say, this is what I need to rent for, and this is what I do, and I've got all my advertising set up. And then we have people that are like, I've had this calling, I've had this idea, and I want to collaborate with other people. Do you know other people? Or people that are like, this is something I want to do myself, but I'm not quite sure what it looks like.
Okay.
Or they have the gift, but they're like, well, what time should it be? What day should it be? And so, like, sometimes when you are moved so deeply by your passion and truth, logistics can seem burdensome.
Totally.
They can be overwhelming, and like I said, like being overrun by that self-doubt, you can start to take that as indication that you're not ready, or you're not genuine, or you're not perfect, which you don't need to be to come here, by the way. So
the validation is huge.
It's the validation, and also
totally, it's like saying like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, and like if no one shows up, it's totally not because of something you did. It's just because people are busy, or people are tired, or maybe they didn't see the post, and you know, I mean, like
maybe
it's
your
just like
ticketing is weird. Who knows? I mean, you have
There's
someone
so many
else,
variables.
so it's not like what's wrong with me.
And what I find with like that process is, you know, like the law of attraction and the energy and like getting in that vortex is all about having fun. And so that's
So
like
much
one
fun.
thing that is like so much fun when we're like together, because like if we have an event that we've planned and like no one shows up, if I was doing that alone, I'd be
God,
like,
it'd destroy
oh my
you. I
God,
know.
like why doesn't anyone like this? Or what am I doing wrong? Or what's wrong with me? And blah, blah, blah. And like if Erin and I have no one show up, we're like, dude, what should we do now? Like we have, our husbands are with their kids. Like let's, you know, I mean, it was just like it's so much more fun, and there's like not that whatever. So I think it's really important to like have fun with like the process, and like enjoy the process, and like if the day or the time is wrong, like
We'll work through it.
like no biggie.
It's
like
not a reflection
okay,
of-
so that didn't happen, so let's do this. And that is how you keep the momentum going and the energy going, and that right there is like the key to manifestation.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I see a lot of synergies between what we do on the mat in yoga and what the Lotus does, because it's all about
That's
that
right.
inward journey. It's all about just, you know, exploring the self and connecting that body, mind, and spirit. The two of you have said a few things that I need some more understanding on, and I wonder if a few people out there in this community might. So we'll start with the shift. You mentioned that there's a shift going on. Maybe if you could just talk about that for a moment to kind of explain it so we can get a little context behind what that means.
Well, this is just my own feeling.
Okay. Oh.
But I'm seeing it like unfold. About like in 2012, I like got this. I was in Rwanda, and I was beginning my journey towards like my complete unbecoming. And in that moment, I think I like wrote it somewhere or something, and it was like, this is a shift in consciousness, and it's happening in waves. And so there were like all these books that I had been reading and these spiritual practices that I had been practicing were there to like clear this path for me as I shifted. And the shift in consciousness is, and I'm seeing it like in myself, I'm seeing it in different people, I'm seeing it as a collective whole, I'm seeing it happening in our country. And what it is it's this rise of everything that we are not, so that we can unbecome. And it's that ego, everything that the world has told us to be, or our mom has told us to be, or our dad, like society, these things that we have just been raised to believe about ourselves and raised to believe about what are important. There is this universal force showing us so unbearably, painfully, no, that's not who you are. You are so much bigger, you are so much brighter, you are so much more beautiful. That is a box that has been built around you. And so one thing that I've learned is that you cannot heal what you do not know. And so all of that is rising to the surface so that we can see what needs to be healed, and then we can shift out of that and become who we really are meant to be. And I think that that's what's happening in our country, and because it's interesting, what's happening in the country is also happening all around the world.
Yeah.
And so it's
And
like this
personally.
collective, well, personally, that's what I mean, I've seen it in myself, and I'm seeing it in all these different people, but it's this shift in consciousness is the rising of all that we are not, so that we can see what needs to be healed, and we can feel it so that we actually heal it. Oh, wow. I didn't mean to do that little rhyme.
That was
right. But
beautiful.
yeah, but it is
really
it is yeah, that I think that is what the shift in consciousness is, and I think it's happening in waves. And I know that I started it in 2012, and I was aligned with all these other people. And I mean, you know, like Erin had said, this is like her third or fourth, like she's had
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix
Yes,
rising.
that was my next question.
Yeah.
About the Phoenix.
Yeah, so that is like the Phoenix process, though, that
unbecoming.
people are going through. And it happens, I think, in different layers and in different contexts. But in 2012, I saw that was when my shift began. And it's not, I don't want to say it's concluding, but it's reaching a different story, a different level in 2018. I kind of feel like
to the shore or something.
yeah, something like it's kind of become full circle, and now I'll begin the next one, like the next shift in consciousness, but it's happening in waves. And I think that right now people are experiencing, there's a whole new group of people that are experiencing that destruction and that unbecoming. And I think what I feel is that it's happening at higher speeds and higher rates. And the people who have experienced the shift, there's a whole group of people where it's part of our calling to show people that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Right. And to stand beside them and to walk through the dark with them.
Walk through the destruction.
Because you cannot get to the light unless you fully, it's like the Lotus, right? Like you cannot get through the mud without, you can't get out of the mud without passing through the mud. And that, I think, I feel like personally that's my calling right now, is to be like, destruct, burn it down,
Burn it
like
down.
waste it away, like do whatever you have to do to get rid of it, because that is all just baggage that doesn't belong.
Yeah, it's exactly what the Phoenix process is that unlearning, that unbecoming. And I don't think, Sam, you said that so divinely and so clearly. Thank you. And I don't think Sam is talking about something generational. She's talking about people of all ages, on all levels, all kinds of people feeling this. And so if you know you're out there and you're like, what is this energy? Why is my appetite changing? Why am I suddenly so moody? Why am I questioning these things about my identity that I didn't even know I believed? that is what the process feels like.
And it feels like death.
It hurts.
It feels like death too. Like it feels
And
like
there's grief with it.
Yeah, so much grief. And it feels like I want to die. And it doesn't have to be like some dark suicidal thing, but it can be this empowering thing where it's like, okay, what in me needs to die?
And what am I not?
Yeah, like what part of me is ready to die, and how can I let that part of me die? And I remember there was one time, and this was like maybe a year ago, I was walking with Erin, and I was talking about like all this death that had occurred in me, and this will always stick with me, and I will always pass it on. And she said, like, you have to be so intentional about what fills the void that the death caused. Like what, because if you're not, when it leaves you, there's this hole and there's this void, and there's this beautiful thing that happens where you get to choose
what to fill it with.
Right? So your codependence, or that was one thing, my codependence, like my competition with women, like my fear, like all of that stuff had to die.
Quiet voice.
Right? Like so then when it has died, it's like, okay, wow, what am I going to fill it with? Like what do I get to choose? Like I get to choose what goes there.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
Isn't it thrilling?
Yes.
But, and that's the thing, you come to the Lotus and you will be filled with the nutrients and the light that that can fill in those spaces and the cracks where the darkness
and your
finally
hand
lifted.
will be held in the darkness. You know, like
we
that's
won't leave you.
Yeah, like that. It's like for someone to just even say to me, like when I was really going through that, and I was like, I want to die, not like I was suicidal or anything, but like I want, like it was like I am so unbearably in pain right now, and I just want it to end. And if someone would have just said to me, that's how it's supposed to be.
That's growth.
That's good. Something's dying.
Well,
like that's awesome.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk
No,
about it.
because there's a bubblegum spirituality too,
Yeah.
where it's like, well, if it's not all light, then there's something wrong with me. And what keeps coming through is everyone sucks when you look close enough. But the trick is to not look away, because that's where the love is.
This is
and that's where the growth is.
Yeah, and you can't.
So we don't want to. We're not going to look away from you just because you're cleaning out your closets.
And we're not going to look away from ourselves when we're cleaning out our own.
Or deny that we have
like
stuff
we
in
all
there.
that is like this, and
down.
that I honestly think that there's this bubblegum spirituality that's causing so much harm.
It's dark forces.
Yeah, and people, it's like, just think about what you want and you'll manifest what you need, and like it's like the pretty people
Go towards the light.
And I mean, it's not bad if you're pretty,
Tighter
right?
box.
But like if you're like it's
just kidding now.
that is like the bubblegum spirituality is like so
it's dark forces.
It's toxic, and
it doesn't validate the human experience.
It doesn't at all, and it's comfortable and it's nice, and it isn't real at all.
So what?
I mean, part of it is real, right? But
Yeah.
you first have to. I lost my.
I think the part that you can stick with is that you feel good in the spirituality. You start to understand that that's something you crave. And so I have been an educator for 15 years in education, mostly multicultural education, and I teach people from all over the world. I've taught it until recently. I was teaching at Gonzaga. I took off time to follow this project, but one thing I kept realizing is that people are craving, no matter what the setting is, they're craving that connection, and they're craving having that joy and having their sense of being be validated just with a look in the eye or with a smile. Sometimes my students don't speak any English, but we are connected in this longing for connection. And so what became clear to me, no matter what class I was teaching, it could be a graduate level course, or it could be an emerging literacy course where you're just learning basic English, that people were craving that connection. And once they had that connection, they were able to start facilitating this, or being open to be guided through this unlearning process. They start saying, oh, I didn't even know I held that belief. I just assumed that was a truth. But I realize now that was given to me as something I was told was true, and it's not necessarily about me, but I don't really know what to believe, but I'm okay that I don't know what to believe. And the bubblegum spirituality is like, fill it with this and fill it with that. And
it doesn't exist if you don't, like, focus on what you want. It doesn't exist if you're not focusing on it.
And it's like where in the in-between, in that growth where you're not looking away when you realize how dark it can be, is where the cracks of light start to shine in. And you don't have to know what it's called, or know that it's light or dark. You just have to be open to the unbecoming and being comfortable with knowing that the things you thought were you, or maybe not.
Well, and that is, like, the key. Like, what you just said is so profound, because it is the not looking away. That's when the pain eases. The moment that you say, and that was one thing,
Yes,
like, I've had these cycles that have brought me so much pain and so much darkness, and the moment that I stopped resisting them,
Right.
and stopped trying to push them away, and instead said, okay, you haven't left me for so long. What is it that I need to see? Show me what I need to see. And I will wait patiently here on the ground. I will wait patiently, and I will experience what I have to experience.
I'll be with it.
I will be with it, and I will trust it, and I will honor it so that I can understand it, so that then I can release it.
And it's like in Labyrinth where she looks at him and she goes, you have no power over me. Once she looks at him and sees him for what she is.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, me neither.
What? Okay, well,
Probably-
if you're listening with children, you should also watch Labyrinth. David Bowie?
No.
Wow, I am the oldest one here.
Yeah.
Just give it away.
I've heard of it though.
Okay, we'll go
Yeah,
home
I
and
know.
watch it. But
Is
at
he
the
wearing
end,
a
she
silly,
looks,
like a super tight outfit?
oh, tight.
When
and
doesn't
all-
he?
Yes, right.
Yeah,
It's
rest in
Bowie
peace.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she looks at him, and he's been this demon that's been trying to, like, manipulate her from behind the scenes, and that because he wants her, because she is so pure and passionate, and he's been trying to get her to fall for him, and so he's like the dark forces. And at the end, she stops playing this game, and she just looks him right in the eye, and she goes, you have no power over me. And so and what bubblegum spirituality is like, don't look at that, it's too dark. But when you turn and you look the darkness in the face and you say, okay, I'm okay with you. And it goes, well, that's not fun. And it goes away.
And not even, and it goes away, right? But if you look the darkness in the face and not even say you have no power over me, right?
Right.
But instead say, oh my God, you have been, not real God, but I'm sorry, that was an expression. But, like, you look at it and you say, you have been such a gift.
Right.
And you, like, get to that place where you can, like, honor it. Like, really honor it. So, like, you can look it in the face and you can say you have no power over me, and it'll go away. If you look it in the face and you honor it and you love it and you identify the gift of it,
Right.
you get to carry it forever, not as the darkness, but as the gift.
Right, not as baggage, but
As the gift.
Yeah. As the
It's
gift.
like every single painful thing that I went through, I see it all, but it was just this, like, magnificent gift.
And that's the thing. In that moment, she didn't realize how much power he had over her.
Yeah.
And so when she looks at him and sees him for what he is, as this
Yeah.
silly tight pants demon, she's like, I let you have all this power over me. I didn't even know it.
Right,
And
yeah.
then she's
Yeah.
released, and she goes home to her own home, but she's a completely different person. And so all of that is so symbolic.
Yeah,
But
it is.
of exactly what you're talking about, how
Especially
it is
the
a
tight
gift.
outfit. That's the most symbolic part.
Well, David Bowie's tight outfits are definitely a gift to humanity.
wow,
It's really
I don't.
beautiful.
I'm wrapping my brain around what
Can
we
I
just talked about.
Can I also add? It's a little
Yeah.
bit, but it was where I was trying to go, and then I
sorry.
lost my train of thought.
Oh,
But
yeah, good.
back.
so the bubblegum spirituality,
Oh, yeah.
and there's this force that's happening where people are realizing their gifts, which is so beautiful. But also, you cannot fully carry the gift at the power that you should until you realize that we are all mediocre. Like, we all, and that is, like, part of what the darkness shows us, and part of the gift is that when you are in a crumbled mess on the floor with snot dripping down your face and your eyes, like, you realize you're so humbled by how mediocre you are, because you can't fully appreciate and honor every person until you've been to that point. Because you'll always see people differently. And I feel like that's one thing that spiritual healers in the bubblegum spirituality field are trying to do, is they're trying to make it like
Hierarchy or
this high, like, there's so much ego in it though, right? Like, we all, like, and this is another thing that came, and you might want to edit this out, or if you're with children, like,
Okay.
sorry,
Turn
I'm
it
going to say
down.
the S word. But like we all are divine pieces of shit.
That's
right? And until you own that, like, you can't be divine. Like,
how divine can you be?
Yeah, how divine can you be if you don't realize that you're just a divine piece of shit? Like you and like every single person walking down the street. And yeah.
And what comes out of that is I am a piece of but I am also but I am special, but I'm not more special than anyone else.
Exactly. And so, until you reach that darkness in yourself, you realize that you're not any more special than anyone else. And I think that's like another really cool thing that is happening here is that, like a lot of places they try and be gurus, but we're all gurus and we're all pieces of shit, just in different ways.
And and we're not talking about locally, we're talking about like generally how that happens.
Yeah.
We are so gifted in this community with so many talented owners and healers and office, people offering.
We meant on a collective.
Just kind of generalizing. Yeah. Spokane is really, it's like a vortex of healers. But one thing about having your gift and realizing that, you only get to keep it if you give it all away. You don't get to keep your gifts if they're just yours. And so when you come to the Lotus, it's a place to give it away, but
also
what you
refill
receive
it
back is tenfold.
And you can't give until you are full, and until you are like your cup has to be full. So that is what's beautiful here, is it's kind of like a one-stop shop for filling up and then
it's like a
giving it away.
Yeah. with the bubblegum spirituality, I do think that it can be a pathway,
like an access point.
Yeah,
definitely.
For people to begin to experience this other dimension, this other world that's here, these other things that are available to them.
It definitely can be an access point, but it can't be everything.
And I think what happens is when you start, what you're talking about is exactly true. It's an entry point. But the dangers are when it's based around any one person being responsible for your own growth, where it's like, I need this outside of me to be whole, like this class or this.
Or giving that person more power than
yourself.
Yeah. And then I think what happens is, as you elevate into that light that you find when you have this entry into spirituality, you also open up the contrast for it to get darker. And so what happens is there's highs and lows, and sometimes when we feel the lows, we tend to discredit them as bad or wrong or dark and not in alignment with our spirituality. And I think what we've been trying to summarize is it's all part of the journey. And so what we would categorize as bubblegum spirituality is anything that says the light's where it's at and the dark is to be avoided.
Or just focus on the light, and
you'll keep going
and
up.
The darkness will go away. And there is, I mean, it is physics.
It sells.
It does, but there is physics. Science says that there is balance to everything, and spirituality is no different
yin
than that.
and yang.
The higher you go, the lower you have to go, right? Like the deeper you have to dig into it. There is, I mean, and I think about like my dreams or whatever, and it's like, dude, I want to be way up there, and it's like, okay, well, if you want to be way up here, then you're gonna have to start digging.
Do you guys have any kind of suggestions or tips on how to because this is real, when people go through a dark space, you do want to move most people do want to move through that, but sometimes you do feel sometimes pulled back into it, or you're identified with that dark space.
And absolutely, what I would suggest to people is that anytime something has a resonating impact on you, the way out is the way in. So the way to let go is to go in. And so to figure out what exactly that is triggering inside of you. So if your mom does something that stays with you in a way that's negative, that doesn't honor her true gift to you, it's a gift in itself.
It's
for
indicating
you to see what you need to heal. And so if you go in and you say, you know what, maybe I think my mom doesn't think I'm good enough. And maybe that's what that touched. And so why don't I feel good enough? I can work on that. I can't change my mom, and I can't change what she says to me, but I can change I can start to examine maybe why I don't feel like I'm enough for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where does that come from? Or why isn't she enough for me? And just follow it all the way to the end, and
Yeah.
then look it right in the eye and say, thank you, goodbye.
Like, be more of a seer, or be more of a witness to it.
Not even be a witness,
Yeah.
like not even be a witness to the situation, but be a witness to how it is, like being a witness to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are in alignment and free and healed,
And
doesn't
there's no
matter
trains
what
driving by.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone else does or says, because you can see that it really isn't about you, it's about them.
Mm-hmm.
And so my advice,
So when
with
it becomes
that-
about you,
yeah, my advice would be to go to the dark within
All the way in.
yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to say, what is this? Because those situations come and they trigger us as a way. And we just had something like that happen where we were both totally triggered, and it was like, okay, what is this representing? Why is this
What
triggering
beliefs
me?
is this?
Yeah, what is this triggering within myself? And how can I like go there? And the other thing,
that's the unbecoming.
well, and the other thing is that I think that is the unbecoming, but also I think walking into the darkness within yourself, and that what I was saying about realizing your own mediocrity and realizing your own piece of
Poop.
yeah, realizing that you're that is it completely transforms the way that you see people and you interact with them. And there is this total compassion and love that comes from that, in realizing, oh, they're just going through something dark too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been so low and I've been so dark and I've done such awful things to other people that I see that that's about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, yeah, the going in but also seeing that mediocrity in yourself, it totally opens up a compassion for other people,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it's not even like you don't even have to let it go because it never even touched you.
Right. It
You
just,
just saw
goes
it
right
for what it
past you.
was, and
Yeah.
it is, okay, well, I'm gonna hold space for that person, and I'm gonna surround them in love and light, because anyone who treats me like that is going through something hard.
Yeah.
That-
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
But to take that to another level, because it's not only always fair to say there's something inside of you that needs to be lost or changed. Sometimes when you do follow it to the end, you find out it's your body telling you in a loud way, no, about this person.
Yeah.
And that you start to learn signals like, okay, well, now my stomach hurts. So when my stomach hurts around someone, I know there's not a problem with me. It's that I'm having this reaction to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do have to follow it all the way to the end. And sometimes it is that you have a trigger that is a deep, deep fundamental belief that is holding you back and keeping you in this negativity. And sometimes people are not for you, and they're evil and they have bad intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And by following it to the end, you learn to realize what signs your body and your emotions are giving you. But if you run, you'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you say,
Or if you just push it away,
right.
Mm-hmm.
without like, this doesn't feel good, I'm gonna push it away.
But you get to the point where you'll be able to know.
yeah.
But you have to be willing to look at it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can't heal what you don't know, and you can't know what you don't see. So you have to go and see it.
How did you two become so aware, like knowledgeable about this kind of self-care, self-healing, unbecoming?
It's kind of personal, but I had struggles with addiction, loss, just really dark things, and that tear apart any sense of identity to the point that you have nothing to do but to rise from your own ashes and not in seek of anything, but just in sheer force of hoping to recover and hoping to connect with someone in that pain. And I think the growth has come from a willingness to be so vulnerable and to be able to connect through my pain. If Sam and I couldn't have connected in our pain and been open with each other, I don't think we could have had this depth of positivity present that ripples through us and beyond us. And so I do want to say thank you for calling us labeling us as such. It is really an honor to be seen in that way. I can't claim to be any of those things. But I do appreciate being seen in that way. But I do want to make it clear that it came from absolute destruction. It could be the simplest destruction of deciding not to bite in a conversation that triggers me, or it could be going to AA. I mean, it could be anywhere on the spectrum of profoundness. But what I learn, and it's the same reflective of the podcast, it's reflective of the Lotus, is that we are not alone. And if we can find connection and vulnerability in the pain, we can make room for truths and light. And so, humans are they love dualistic thinking. They want it to be good or bad, light or dark. And I think by just being and unbeing, you can come to really know the self and the non-self.
Yeah.
That's a little convoluted, but I think the idea comes through. I hope the idea comes through that that if you are in pain and you are feeling doubt and you don't really, your beliefs that you didn't even know you had that are starting to come to the surface don't resonate with you anymore, you're not alone, and it's not the end. And that we are here for you at this space, and know that you're in your journey and that you do have the power to release and refill. And you give yourself that power by choosing to put yourself first and by choosing to really connect with others in your pain. So that's how I would answer that question. What do you think?
Thank you for sharing
Well,
that. That's
For me, I found my life just the last 5 years has just been a trip. I went to Rwanda, and I found myself in this village for months and with no distractions. And I'd done a yoga teacher training before I went, and so I just dove into my spirituality when I got there. And for months, I mean, it was probably 4 months, I just did tons and tons of clearing meditation. And what it did is it got me, I guess, built this little foundation for me to really dive into it. I was like, oh wow, I'm on this really big spirituality. And I wish I could tell myself, be like, oh girl, this is just a tiny bit of prep for the real journey. It's just leg day. It's just leg day. Yeah, it was I was doing these tiny crunches. But anyway, so then I met my husband, who's Rwandan, and I just got full-blown thrown into life. My husband's a genocide survivor. He lost his family. We got married. My 9-month experience, it was going to be 9 months in Rwanda, turned into 3 years. Wow. And it was very, very intense. And then we came, and I was like, okay, well, now we're going to the U.S. Everything's going to be fine. Nope. Yeah. So then we came here, and then we're dealing with the cross-cultural marriage, and he's doing a lot of his own spiritual clearing, and it totally triggered every aspect of me. And what it did is it brought forth my darkness and the things within me that needed to unbecome. And so I feel like for my I had years where I felt like I was kicked, and right as you're about to stand up, you get kicked again. It was so intense. And I think for me to get to the place where I am, and I'll agree with Erin that this is a journey for me. I don't claim to know anything. It's totally a journey. This is my experience right now. This is how I feel right now, and it could be totally different. But how I feel right now has come from just full-blown grit. Just doing the work, walking when I couldn't, one step in front of the other when I didn't think that I could. And I feel like I've done a ton of clearing for ancestral clearing, societal clearing, all of that stuff. I just see all these things that the world makes us out to be, and I think it's not anything that our parents have done to us. It's a cycle that is just been done, and I reached a point I had to be brought to such pain that I was ready to break the cycle. And it is not fun. It is not fun to break the cycle. I mean, you think about a cycle going around, or like think about a bike, and when you stick a bike into a stick into a spoke. Yeah. And what that is like, that is what it's like to break the cycle. And so that, I mean, I don't know. I guess for me, the darker that I've been willing to go, the deeper that I've been willing to go, the light that's come on the other side of that is equal. It's the balance.
What kind of work do you do with that?
What do you mean?
Like what?
Like the processing and clearing and stuff?
Yeah.
I
You meditate a lot?
I meditate a lot, but also, like, it didn't start as meditation. It started as breathing in it.
Oh, yeah, being physical in
Just,
the body.
like, sitting there and
That's
being
right.
like, I want out of my body.
Yep.
I want out of this world. I don't want to be a human anymore. I know that this is not where I come from, and I just want it to end. And it starts with just
Going into the body.
just sitting in it and breathing in it and being with it and trusting it and allowing it to do what it has to do. So that's kind of where it started. I used to do a lot of yoga, and now my life, like, I have 2 babies, and, you know, my life just doesn't allow for a lot of that. But I guess, you know, the physical stuff is important, but I'm in a place where I just can't do the physical stuff as much as
But it
I'd like
gets you
to
through
right
it,
now.
though. But something like the breath work and and even sound healing.
Yeah, the sound healing.
Things that set your physical vibration, because the body is, you know, it's what makes us have sensation on Earth. Like, I mean, metaphysical stuff is cool, but you don't get to taste cake and you don't get to feel the rain.
Yeah.
And the body is important, just being with it in your body.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I also there were a few huge supports for me. Catherine, she's
a resident healer.
Yeah,
here.
she's our resident healer, and I saw her a couple months after I came back from Rwanda, and she saw my husband, and she was a huge support for me, because she was able to see who I really was before I could even see who I really was. And she was able to see the purpose of my husband and I being together when we were really going through the mud, and we couldn't even see that ourselves.
Right.
And so that was like a huge pull for me. There was a great acupuncturist who I saw. So like those, reaching out to those community people who have been through it, but don't go to the people who haven't been through it and aren't willing to go there, because what they'll do is they'll try to heal you. The people who really have been through it, they know that the only person that can heal you is you. And they can just stand there and hold space for you.
Facilitate.
Yeah.
Make it safe.
Yeah, and make it safe.
Yeah.
And to ask the questions for you to heal yourself. That is where the key is. So I definitely have had a ton of support.
Ton of support. I have too. And I mean, my family's so loving and understanding.
Yeah.
Just the support we've had in the community from the Lotus. We hope it has the same effect on people in their journey as those that held space for us and continue to hold space have done for our journey.
Are some people here that we'll see in, you know, this new year, 2019?
Well, Catherine is here all the time. She books sessions all the time and uses this space. And I think you can book online.
And then she also offers group healings here at the Lotus once a month. For now, it might be every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it might be more. We've sold out. We sold
Oh.
out the last 3 months. We sold out the December one a month ahead of time.
Wow.
So those might be coming up more frequently. So Catherine will be doing group healings, and that's different. Her one-on-one, she calls them healings and readings. What she does is she sits with you and she kind of channels your past, what forces are present with you now, what your purpose of life is. She really can channel those things without putting herself in that, and that is a beautiful thing.
And she also does some energy healing in
And
those
then at the end,
sessions.
she'll do energy body work on you, a little bit of clearing your energy, and then she'll reset you with mantras. And so it's a very comprehensive experience. Even though she's not she's not doing a physical touch, there is a lot of energetic pain that can be lifted. Then I'm really excited to announce that Sam and I are going to be teaching. We actually got into this whole project because we have, between us, I don't know, 2 or 3 decades of curriculum writing experience. And so we're writing these courses. We're going to announce a 8-week chakra course. And that's going to focus on an overall analysis of your chakra alignment. And then we're going to do 1 chakra a week. And then we're going to culminate in making your own mala. So to carry out what you need to keep working on. And that is, and what's different about this course than what's been offered locally is it's not strictly yoga based. It's not, being in the body is a very important part of healing. The body is the vessel, but we're going to incorporate all kinds of content access points. There will be definitely yoga and energy work, but that it's not strictly that. There'll be a lot of reflective and growth and personal work that you're doing during this course. And we're trying, so we'll have that 8-week chakra course, and then we'll have a manifestation course. I think that's 5 or 6 weeks. We'll be announcing. We have a business course for people like you who are launching their businesses. And like you said, sometimes it's really hard to get into the logistics. Or you don't know the right people to help you with the marketing. Or maybe you really know what your gift is, or what you want to contribute, I should say, but you don't know how to make that message present in every part of your business. You feel like you're selling out in some areas to make the dream come true. And so we have a course designed to help you make that message consistent, and also to help you get some tangible marketing skills.
Right.
Well, and even just like taking like that big vision that you have, and like how can you bring it down to earth?
What's the next step?
Yeah,
How
like
you bring it
what is
grounded.
it, like how can you make it real? Because I mean it's real. If it's in your head, it's real, right?
Right.
And that's the hard part, the easy part. So it's kind of like, okay, well, what are these steps, and how can you bring that into like a real form,
Without
a human form?
Totally. Like, how can you connect the idea air quality to get
Something
grounded?
tangible.
Yeah.
Without
I totally get it.
losing its essence too. And so that course is called Align and Online, Generating Leads in Spirituality and Business. And then monthly we have our Magic Moon events. Those happen on the Sunday closest to the full moon. And I'm excited to tell you we have some really dynamic people lined up to offer courses coming into the winter.
Well, and what's really cool about
So
the
that'll always
Magic
be
Moon,
changing.
is that we feature people who are holding events at the Lotus. So like if someone
nice.
is doing,
A yoga class.
or
meditation.
or sound healing or something, you can go and you can get a little taste of that, and then you can see, okay, I would really like to do their full course or their full experience.
But they also bring their clients to the Lotus, and the Lotus say, I'm your yoga client at another studio, but now I met someone that does meditation that I'm interested in. So it's just that collaboration over competition. That we that we're all here, even though we don't know what we need exactly. And then quarterly, and we're thinking about doing this every other month because it has been so popular. We have something called the Magic Carpet Ride, and we set up in here 6 or 7 little stations.
Okay.
Floor seating or chair seating, depends on the offering, but the idea is that there's these little magical, enchanting nooks for you to meet with a healer who might be hard to book because some of them book quite far out, or might have 2-hour sessions that are $100, and that's just not in your budget right now, or your time budget. But you could come down and with your $10 or $20 get a 15-20 minute FaceTime with this person. And if you're not quite sure what you're looking for, we're here, we spend the day, so we'll have 6 or 7 different healers or artists come and offer mini sessions. And that way you can, if you're not really quite sure what you're looking to fill this unbecoming with, you can really see what resonates with you.
Right, get some resources.
Right, for a low cost. I mean, typically this might cost you $100-$200 to buy in with a person in a commitment, but if you can come down here and just try it, get a taste of who you really want to work with and what resonates for you. So that's our magic carpet ride. We have one in December. I think our next one will either be March or February.
Oh, cool.
But
Okay.
you can check out our website at www.thelotusspokane.com, and we're also on Facebook and Instagram. And so all of our courses and offerings are there.
Yeah, I'll link to all of this. for
And
sure.
we usually only book or like list things like a month out.
I saw that.
And so if there's something that's like bigger, then we may do eventually, but check it frequently because we're always updating it. And that's the other thing, is that we're always updating it with new cool things that are happening.
Yeah.
We can't tell you what
very
they are because they
fresh.
haven't.
We don't even know. We do know that there's like a lot of things that are in the works that are super exciting, but
We do have
we
some-
haven't nailed down all the details of them, but there's definitely some cool stuff
Great
that's
stuff coming up for the spring. And again, if you yourself have been called to offer something to share with your community, or please reach out. We have just a brief interest application you can do online to let us know what kind of event you'd like to hold. So if you're feeling called from this podcast to go deeper into your journey and your process as a teacher or a healer, please know that we encourage you, and we have this space here just ready for you to come plant yourself in.
Yeah, so logistically what you would do is you would go on our website and you would fill out just a quick form. And
On rental, right?
Yeah, you would fill out a form about the rental, and then we will get back to you with a packet of information to see, is this something that would be a good fit? Is this something that you're interested in? And then that's kind of then unfolds the next step.
And we hope that you might consider having some classes or workshops here.
Something,
Yeah.
I would really like to do a live interview, like sit down and do more live interaction. So just talking with you two, we could have people in the audience sitting, listening.
Oh,
You
and
know,
I
that'd
did
be
forget to
super
mention
cool.
that we
would
we
love
are
that.
putting together
Yeah.
a panel. So people who are interested in seeking healing, but they don't know what they're looking for, we're going to try to put together a panel of healers so they can have a Q&A, and that would be a killer time to record.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
That would be
Are you
perfect.
serious?
And also-
Yeah.
I would love
That's
that.
perfect.
Yeah.
We just made our
Yeah.
our next
And also
collaborative
a panel,
event.
I want to do a
You
panel
guys.
for
Yeah.
healers. So you would have people coming in, like, how did you
Right,
get started?
anybody.
Yeah, like, what was your,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how
Seekers
did,
and healers.
you know, someone, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are getting premonitions, and
It's part of the shift.
it's part of the shift. And so it's
exactly
like, oh
what
my
we're
gosh,
talking
what am I
about.
supposed to do about this? And so we want people to have
Big brothers, big
access.
sisters
Yeah.
for healers.
Yeah.
What you talked about today was very, very real about, going to those dark places in life and talking about that so openly. It's very powerful and very brave. So thank you both of you for being so open with your journey to get to this place. And
Yeah, well, thank you.
well, so I'm curious though with that, what kind of seeds are you planting in your ceiling?
Oh, we never
next
tell.
year?
We're just planting our dreams. We
Cool.
want freedom and passion and
Connection.
purpose and
Yeah. I think the most exciting thing is the courses coming up, and those will be a journey that we all take together no matter where we're at.
Yeah.
And so we're really looking forward to those. And also, just really getting more, inviting more and more different facets of our community to come here and spend time so that we can start to really understand what is needed by society
Yeah.
to do this spiritual shift. And so, like I said, we can't lay it all down because
we don't even know.
Yeah.
it hasn't been written yet.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very
has-
strange time of man, or it
Yeah.
hasn't been revealed yet. So
Yeah.
it might have been written but not revealed. So
I'm personally just enjoying the ride. And I think
Me too.
I think when you put
cool.
out, like, and that's one thing that we'll talk about in our manifestation course, is that you have to focus on the big picture, the vibrational ones. Like, what is the vibration that I want? Like, I don't want a lot of money. I want freedom. Right? Like, I don't
I don't need
want
$10,000. I need
I need freedom.
Abundance.
Yeah, I need abundance.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't need that one friend. I need a sense of belonging and connection. Or I don't need, you know, that one person that I think will bring me love. These are all the things that I want, and like the vibration and everything in my life personally that I've manifested has come from that point. So for us, I think when we think about the bigger vision of this, is it's like, okay, what do we want? And we're just focusing on the vibration of that and just enjoying the ride of how those
details.
and like how those details come to us.
And just know, maybe when you're getting an email from us, there's 4 messy children running around.
Oh yeah, and there probably
throwing
are.
mac and cheese everywhere. But you know what? We got the email out, and we enjoyed the process. And so
I don't know, maybe we didn't enjoy the process, but we endured the process.
we made it through. But
We survived. No, I'm just kidding.
no, it's true though. It's like, it's that big vibration, and then enjoying the details, and not taking each
little
thought or
yeah.
each setback as truth, but rather just a
Right.
gift
or in a step.
and a step.
Yeah.
And knowing that you may change your goals. I mean, I've done that so many times in my life,
Yeah.
where I had to say, whoa, this
Yeah.
was my path, and it's okay for me to change it. And sometimes the grief from losing what you thought you wanted but never got,
Well, and I think
and you didn't really want it in the end, can be harder than not getting it.
Well, and I think that that's like one thing as humans is we like want these certain things because we
Measures.
think that it's going to make us happy. And there's this beautiful thing that happens when you just lay out everything and you say, this is who I am, use me.
Show me.
Use me to be the vessel. I'm asking for these big things, and I trust that they will all come to me in whatever way that they're meant to come to me. And that is like this beautiful thing that happens, is like you realize, like, I didn't think I was ever going to have friends again. And Erin, I really didn't. And like, I always tell Erin, I'm like, you're like the dream that I didn't know I could have. Like, we're neighbors, our kids are like best friends. Like, I am like
the
living the
best.
dream.
I agree.
And I never put that out there. I never said, I want to live in a house next to my best friend, or I want to do
have
this.
kids
I
at the
was
same
like,
time.
yeah, I never, ever put that stuff out there. But I was like, I just want to be happy.
Right.
I just want to have fun. Like, I want to live a life that's like purposeful and all these things. And I just really like, I became so broken that I had no energy to try and control or manipulate or make something happen. And I
Right.
just laid it all out and was like, all right,
It just
well, this
can-
is what I want. And if it's my path, then it will come. And like, it came, and it's coming so much greater than it could have ever come. And it would have never happened if I didn't let myself break.
Right, and if you
Or
would
try
have
to
tried
control everything.
Yeah.
Are you gonna say that?
yeah,
Yeah,
or try to plan.
Yeah, plan it.
Control
I'm
that
like
outcome.
a huge planner, and now people will be like, "I'm sorry, I have to break our plan," and I'm like, "Plans don't even exist in my world."
Or you would be like, when we would talk about something, you'd want to like be really clear about the details. I'd be like, it'll come in the way it's meant to come, and we're like, yeah, it will.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know.
Yeah. Or we would like have these ideas, and we're like, "Okay, now we have to go and do this," and we're like, "Oh man, something's coming that we don't even know
I know.
yet. We
So-
can't even plan for it because we don't know it."
So just knowing it, but having someone, you know, I could have never dreamed to have a business partner that is so like-minded and easy to work with, and just such a true and hardworking person in all aspects of life: mental, emotional, spiritual, relationships, physical. So I'm really grateful, and it's not
Well,
something
and
I asked for, but I'm glad I didn't limit myself,
Yeah.
because what comes is greater than anything I could have imagined. So
Well, and I think that there's like this huge purposeful thing happening just in our relationship and our friendship and us doing this, because I think
yeah.
that society raises women to compete. And not even women,
Or
but
that
just
there's
like everything. It's like if your cup
It
is
is
filled,
women, yeah.
my cup can't be filled. If you're succeeding, I can't be successful because you're stealing my success. And it is like such a sick belief that we are raised in. And so like for me, the last couple years, and that's a part of, I mean, I was totally raised in that. And I think we all were. And it's nobody's fault that it happened, but it did. And so a lot of my spiritual journey was like really going inward when I
Right.
would have those feelings. Like I would have a friend be successful, and I'd be like, well, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? Like I'm doing something cool. And then it's like, wait a second, that feeling does not make me feel good.
Right.
And maybe
Where
that
is that
inadequacy
coming from? Yeah.
is not bringing you that abundance, and then maybe it's nothing to do with that other
Exactly.
person.
Yeah, I don't know
Exactly.
where it comes from because I feel that as well. And it was almost more of like, okay, someone's doing well or someone's doing this. That means that I need to do that too.
Right.
Or if I'm going to apply for a job, it's kind of like you overstimulate certain parts of your resume. Like, you know.
Yeah, right.
And
Oh,
it's
yeah,
almost
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like
Yeah, it's a good
over
metaphor.
talking yourself.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can't do.
Mhm.
So what?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and
what
what's
do you
really-
want to do about it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what it's doing for me is like when I'm being more real with what I can offer, it's like I feel more comfortable with myself. Like I can sleep at night.
Yeah.
I know that that whatever comes of that job interview is going to be really what's supposed to happen because
You're not manipulating
I'm not
it.
manipulating
Yeah.
it. Like I'm
Yeah.
being really myself, and it's actually like really comfortable.
Isn't it?
Yeah, like I feel very comfortable, and I didn't really know this like was possible. Like I didn't know, but I didn't even know I was uncomfortable.
That's the
Until
unbecoming.
Until you became comfortable. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Unbecoming.
isn't it like as it comes out of your mouth, you're
I
like,
can't
that's
even
what I'm
realize
saying.
it. Like
Yeah.
so
And-
many things are unbecoming.
Yeah. And so what do you choose to fill it with? Like your own sense of being like, I'm okay no matter what. Because spirit begs the process and ego begs the outcome. And so the more you can just be okay with the process, the more you can see who your true self really is in there without the ego saying, well, you're not that if you don't get this.
Or you are
Right.
that if you do get it.
Amen.
Oh, yeah.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
And back, we come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe it's time to break this cycle.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
okay. So, fun question. If there's anywhere in Spokane or surrounding areas that you suggest anyone should check out, what are they?
so are we talking like restaurants or?
Yeah, whatever. Like restaurants, hikes.
Yeah, Sam and I
uh,
live in the Perry district.
Okay.
And so
But we're like kind of on like the outskirts of it.
yeah, and so
Okay.
that's nice. But what I really like, I love the grain shed there and the shop, and the Yogashalas down there. It's a really beautiful place.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
The Ben Burr Trail, though, is a great trail for bike riding. There's a pool at the end, Liberty Park pool in the summer. It's good for all ages. I've taken infants in backpacks there and toddlers on trails and big kids on bikes. And so and then I've taken romantic walks.
Ooh.
There's rocks to meditate on there.
Huh.
So the Ben Burr Trail is kind of a
I've never heard of it.
yeah, it goes from about over by Freya Thor. That's
Okay.
going up to the South Hill.
Yeah.
A little bit in, I think, on 11th Avenue.
And Fisk.
Yeah, it starts at 11th and Fisk, and it ends at Liberty Park.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
which is about, I don't know, 5th or 6th, and
I don't even know.
hard to say.
Yeah.
I couldn't say, but you can find the Ben Burr Trail. That is a beautiful trail. So those are just some of our neighborhood gems.
Cool.
The acupuncturist on that street is phenomenal.
On Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saskia.
Veda Lux
Yeah.
is our favorite thrift store, or sorry, I said thrift, vintage store. She does summer there, does custom jewelry.
Oh, cool.
And she has incredible jewelry lines. She's actually doing a line for the Lotus, and we're going to be featuring her gemstone jewelry at our magic carpet ride, along with our crystal malas that we're making. I'll show you one.
You wearing it? I saw that.
Oh, this one?
Oh, pretty.
Yeah, so this is our,
Yeah.
if you can see, it's got all crystals that have healing properties with a lotus and a little tassel. So
Oh, I love that.
we'll be offering these here in our merch section.
So I like this mala because the tassels aren't fabric.
Right.
They're
And we have it. Wait until you see the gold ones.
Oh my
I have a
gosh.
baby, and so I can't wear mine because she tries to like rip it off
Yeah,
and eat it.
pull
I don't
it.
mind
So I
wearing
even
them all.
forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot to wear mine, but mine has a gold tassel, and it
I'm
is
wearing
so
my wallet,
gorgeous.
too.
Yeah, I remember when I saw
Yeah.
yours, I was like, oh, we got to get them going. So
Yeah.
I love
um,
it. But I see mine's fabric ended, and look, it's fraying
So
already.
you
What do
you
I
wet
do?
this.
Oh, okay.
You can use oils too
Oh, okay.
and get it to smooth out. So
Cool, I'll do that.
We love our and Lorian is there. There's a great natural herb store. Him and Her Furniture and Suga Arts. They are all, so we love that little street. So if anybody comes to Spokane, we would definitely suggest,
Find an Airbnb.
yes, in Perry,
and just
spend the
walk
day
around.
there, at least a day. There's so much. There's a Title IX there, the clothing store, great Casper Fries. I mean, it's just really, and of course the Buddhist temple. That's a really beautiful place. That's a really serene place. So yeah, I would recommend the Perry Street district,
Cool.
and the Ben Burr trails if you're gonna keep it local in town.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You all are both just really special. And everything we talked about,
Thank you.
I will link a lot to your events coming up.
Okay,
and
cool.
Okay.
just thank you. I really look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing what the Lotus does for our
Yeah.
community
Thank you.
and the vibrations from it. So
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for bringing
Yeah,
Yogakane.
yeah.
because
Oh,
It's a really
yeah.
powerful contribution to our community. And thank you for listeners for your time.
Yeah.
And you can get a hold of us anytime through Facebook, Instagram, or the website. And we'll be here.
Yep. We'll see ya.
see ya. Sam and Erin, thank you for starting a dialogue about not looking away from what's happening within each of us. I think it's empowering and sets the stage for inner growth, self-love, and acceptance. Anyone out there who is going through a shift, you are brave and courageous, and I'm sending you my love and prayers. Mark your calendars, because on January 20th from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m., the Lotus is hosting an event, January Magic Moon Yoga and Meditation, with special guest Stephanie Van Diest. To learn more about the Lotus or to sign up for their upcoming events, please visit their website and follow them on social media. The Lotus links can be found in the show notes. And thank you so much for listening. I have received some powerful love and support and very kind words about the podcast. It is motivational to know that this podcast resonates with you as much as it does with me. And I want to do my best to keep you in the loop with previous yogis interviewed on the podcast. So here's an update. Neely is currently taking private yoga clients. To learn more about private yoga classes with Neely, please visit her website. Era has invited 2 people from the Ghosh Yoga community to the Spokane Yoga Shala for a weekend-long workshop, the weekend of January 25th. Please visit the Spokane Yoga Shala website to sign up. All of the links to contact Era and Neely will be found in the show notes. If there's a person in your yoga community who you think should be interviewed for the podcast, please send me their contact info. So until next time, I'll catch up with you on social media channels and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Okay, I think that's it for now. May all people be happy. May all people be healthy. And may all people be free. Namaste and Shanti peace to you and your household.